Welcome to PatientX Pulse, where we're making the heartbeat of healthcare marketing stronger, one episode at a time. Join us on this journey as we pulse through the veins of healthcare marketing, delivering insights, strategies, and results that matter for patient experience. Welcome to the PatientX Pulse, where we talk all things healthcare marketing, especially as it relates to patient experience. Today we're going to be talking about website accessibility and how important it is in healthcare, and not just in healthcare, but in all industries. So to set the stage, I want you to understand that 20% of the world's population in some way experiences some type of disability that can make the internet more difficult for them to use. This actually equates to about 1.5 billion people around the world. And would you believe that 98% of the websites on the internet are actually inaccessible to people with disabilities? You know what this means is it's very likely that your website is one of them. Now, also very scary is there's been a 300% year-over-year increase in legal actions that have been taken against businesses whose websites are inaccessible. So again, the big question is this: is your business next? Now, healthcare facilities, all businesses, not just healthcare facilities, they're required to take certain steps to ensure that their brick and mortar location or facility is accessible to people with disabilities. Now, considering that your website is actually an extension of your business's location, not taking steps to ensure that your website is accessible is kind of like you invite someone to your facility, they walk up to the door, and right when they get there, ready to open the door, you lock it, and you tell them they can't come in. That's what it's like for a website to be inaccessible for someone who needs the services of that website. Now, ensuring that your website is accessible to all people, including that 20%, it's not only the right thing to do, but it is required. So again, don't just do it because it's required, do it because it's right. The internet is actually probably one of the most innovative inventions of our lifetime. So just imagine if everyone around the world, everyone in your community, regardless of their abilities, could access the full potential of the internet and the services and the programs and everything it has to offer. How impactful and powerful that would be. So plainly, directly, you need to make your website accessible to, and aka usable by, all people on the internet, including people with disabilities. So let's dive in, let's understand a little bit more about the requirements of this accessibility. So I'm going to just kind of read to you a little bit a statement from the ADA.gov. And they say, ensuring web accessibility for people with disabilities is a priority for the Department of Justice. In recent years, a multitude of services have moved online, and people rely on websites like never before for all aspects of daily living. Now, I think we can all agree that the government is very accurate. Many services have moved online. Long gone are the days of brick and mortar facilities for some businesses. All they have is a website. That's the only way that you can purchase their goods or services. So I think we can all agree that their assessment is very accurate. So I want to get technical for a moment. The DOJ has made it very clear that the relation between ADA and web content exists. So this is pretty directly everything that is covered according to the government. They say that small businesses under ADA Title III and that state and local governments under the ADA Title II need to break down the barriers that hinder online access to people with disabilities. They need to ensure that all digital assets are accessible, and this is according to the government. So while there's no specific legislation that clearly defines what it means to have an accessible website, I think you can see very clearly that adhering to the DOJ guidelines is probably the best way to avoid potential legal issues for your business, for all businesses, not just those that are covered by Title II or Title III. So I want you to understand that this is becoming an issue. Since 2017, thousands of lawsuits have been filed every single year against businesses for not having compliant websites. And hundreds of thousands of small businesses across the country are receiving letters from attorneys because the websites are not accessible to their client. Many of them obviously have had lawsuits filed against them. So this is a really important topic. I have a friend here in our local community who reached out and said, hey, I got a letter from an attorney, basically demanding that the website be made accessible to their client who has disabilities. So it's happening. It's happening in your community. It's happening all across the nation, and not just in the United States, but all around the world. So when a lawsuit is actually filed, most of them end in a settlement for anywhere from $20,000 up to maybe $50,000, but a business can actually be fined for up to $150,000 for an ADA violation. So it is vitally important for you to understand what it means for your website to be compliant and to take action to do so. So this issue does matter. It matters to a lot of people, not just your business and avoiding a lawsuit, but it matters to a lot of people in your community who need your services but are having issues accessing your services on your website. But I think more than that, there are a lot of benefits for your business that you can be thinking about. Obviously, you want your services available to everybody, but there are benefits to your business beyond just avoiding a lawsuit. So let's kind of clarify quickly what ADA and WCAG is all about. That might help you understand what an accessible or inaccessible site might look like. So this kind of goes back to the Americans with Disabilities Act. That's where ADA comes from. So it's a pretty broad law. It covers all entities, organizations, public, private, not-for-profit, any type of business basically. And it's specific to ensuring that people with disabilities have equal access. I mean, we hear a lot about equality, but we're not thinking about people with disabilities. It's about giving them equal access to goods, services, communication, whatever it is that they need that is found online. And this original law regarding Americans with Disabilities Act dates back to 1990. But in September of 2010, the DOJ actually published the ADA standards for accessible design. This actually determined that all electronic and information technology, which is a website, anyone with a website, must be accessible to people with disabilities. Must be. Okay, it is a requirement. Now, Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act, this act also ensures that people with disabilities have equal access. Again, that same word, equal access to goods, services, and communication. But it's very specific to information, communication, etc., that's provided by federal government agencies and services. So that's why we talk more about ADA than Section 508, but at the end of the day, it's all covering the same thing. Section 508 is just a little more specific to the government agencies. Now, there's something called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. I mentioned WCAG earlier. So these Web Content Accessibility Guidelines actually explain what an accessible website should actually look like. how it should operate for people with disabilities. So WCAG is not referenced in the ADA law, but it has been widely accepted as an industry standard for ADA compliance. So between ADA compliance, Section 508 compliance, nearly everyone and every business is covered, and these WCAG guidelines help clarify what that accessibility should look like. So, healthcare, like every other industry, anyone who has a website needs to comply with ADA and adhere to these WCAG guidelines. So maybe you're kind of wondering what some examples of a non-compliant site might look like, or what some of those issues might be that a person with disabilities might struggle with. So one thing, poor color contrast. They open up your website, maybe you have two colors that are very close together and it's very visually difficult for them to read or see images. You might be missing some alt text on images. Alt text is on the back end of the website. It basically describes what someone is doing in an image. Maybe you have online forms that are inaccessible where someone can't fill in the boxes properly. Maybe a video is missing closed captioning. They can't hear, but they need to be able to read it. There's a possibility maybe your navigation of your site is mouse-only navigation instead of the ability for them to use a trackpad and click. Now, these are just a few examples, but these types of issues can make it much harder, sometimes impossible, for people with disabilities to get the information that they need from your website. So I'm going to put a couple of URLs on the screen here. For more information about WCAG, about ADA Section 508, I'm going to put a few URLs here, ada.gov, access-board.gov, or w3.org. Those are just a few websites. There are many more that you can go to get a better understanding of these ADA compliance issues. So go learn more and get a better understanding of why this is so important. But let's talk again about the benefits of an ADA compliant website. When you think about what your brand is, I think a brand is what someone feels when they interact with anything related to your business. Now, by offering some type of ADA compliance or ADA tool, you're expanding your brand perception and you're showing customers that you really care about them, that you really care about making sure that they can access your information and your services. Obviously, if 20% of the world's population has disabilities, making your website compatible grows and expands your market reach. I mean, that's a huge thing. These are new patients or new customers that you can reach by making your website accessible. And of course, like we discussed earlier, the issue with lawsuits, you can protect your business from those types of lawsuits by getting an ADA compatible or compliant website. So how does PatientX address this issue? We actually have an accessibility tool that can make your website compliant. So you can do everything in your power to program and design your website to be compliant, but the reality is, depending on how your website's built, there might be tools that are constantly updating or changing that affect your accessibility. If you're doing your web management correctly, you should be adding new content and images and blogs and constantly expanding. So every time you're making a change to your website, that can affect your accessibility. Tools, PDFs, graphics, videos, etc. that you add to your website can affect your accessibility. So we do at PatientX have an accessibility tool that makes your website compliant. It's very, very easy. So, kind of how this tool works, it kind of replaces these costly website fixes with what I really believe is a state-of-the-art AI technology. It integrates with your current website. It is super easy. All we do is add one line of code to the back end of your website. An accessibility icon will then appear on your website instantly. The AI engine then begins to analyze your website, it makes a copy, starts to fix the inaccessible code, and then within 48 hours, your website's compliant. So after that, every 24 hours, this AI engine is looking at your website, it's updating, making the edits that are needed on your site. We also do provide an accessibility statement that can be added to your website. It lets people know the efforts that you're taking to try to make your website accessible. And we can also provide a PDF of that accessibility statement as well. Again, all this does is it shows people of all abilities that you care about their ability to interact with your brand, to purchase your services, or to get information. It just improves that relationship that you have with them. So ultimately, this tool is just always running in the background. It's using machine learning. It helps you address kind of those really complex requirements that WCAG or some of those requirements that are listed in those guidelines, how they're laid out. They can be complex, they can be hard and expensive if you have to actually go into your website and edit and make changes. So this tool, for example, I'll give just a couple little examples. It can adjust the font size. So, maybe you have a certain font size on your website. It can increase that to make it easier for someone to read. It can change colors. So it might be easier for someone to view or see contrast. It can even alter the navigation for users, should that be something that they need, but there's a lot more things it can do. Those are just a few examples for you. Now, I think the best part of all of this is that it's very affordable. I know we're all concerned about the bottom line right now. We're all looking to cut things that are unnecessary or things that we don't need, but I promise you, this is a tool you need, and we can provide it to you very affordably. We actually have 3 different levels that we offer. There's our standard level. This is for websites like 1,000 unique pages. It's only $100 per month. We also have an advanced plan for larger websites under 10,000 unique pages. It has a couple premium add-ons. That's $200 per month. And then our advanced plus plan. Again, very large websites, 100,000 unique pages, and then some premium add-ons for only $300 per month. So I think we can kind of summarize by acknowledging that providing a website that's accessible to all people, regardless of their ability, is the responsibility of every business, every website owner on the internet. It is your responsibility. Not only is it required of you, as we've covered, but it is the right thing to do. So I'm going to make it really easy for you to get signed up. You can visit our website. We'll put the direct URL on the screen, but our website, you can find us at PatientXagency.com. And then again, on the screen, you'll see the direct link to sign up for our ADA compliance tool. So gosh, you guys, if you like what you heard today, please be sure to like this and share this video with others. I think if you think back to the beginning of our conversation, that stat that I mentioned, that 98% of websites on the internet are inaccessible. I mean, that's insane. And again, 98% is very likely that your website and that of your friends or families or co-workers with other businesses. If you know someone, share this video with others. This is a really important topic, and we need your help to spread the word. So again, like our video, share the video with others so they can learn about how they can get their website ADA compliant. So really appreciating you taking the time to listen, to learn. I hope that you follow up, get more information. I hope you sign up for our ADA tool and just help us make the internet more accessible to all people. So thank you for your time. Share our video. Make it a great day.